My husband kept in touch with his ex-wife. Hi, I'm Amy and this is my story. I got married 5 years ago. My husband's name was James. It was my husband's second marriage, but my first. James and his first wife Nancy had divorced on good terms. James had 2 sons with Nancy. Nancy had also moved on and married another man named Martin. James and Nancy kept in touch with each other after our marriage. It was only because of their sons, so I was fine with it. We celebrated the boy's birthday together. It was just another evening. I was having dinner with James in our house. Suddenly we heard a knock on the door. It was Nancy standing outside. She came inside and hugged James and started crying. Martin dumped me. Nancy cried. I didn't like her hugging my husband, but I didn't say anything. I thought maybe she was really devastated. Nancy said, I left the boys at my mom's place. Can I spend the night here? We agreed. That same night I found out I was pregnant. James didn't seem much happy with the news. But what shocked me the most was when I told Nancy about the pregnancy. She told me, but he already has 2 children. I replied, but I'm his wife now. I didn't like Nancy since then. But I tried to forget the conversation. However, Nancy became a frequent guest at our house. She used to come to our place and spend the night whenever she wanted. She called James for no reason at all. No matter what the time of the day was, James always answered her calls. I was into 5th month of my pregnancy. My pregnancy was complicated, so I had to rest all day. One day Nancy came to our house and said, the boys need a vacation. Why don't you take them on a vacation, James? James agreed to take his sons on a trip. I was fine with it. At the end of the day, he was their dad. But the morning when James was leaving for the trip, what shocked me the most was Nancy was there with them. James didn't tell me about it. I thought he was going on the trip only with his sons. But Nancy was also going with them. When he came back from the trip, he was happier than ever. I had never seen so much happiness on his face before. He talked about Nancy and his sons all day. He didn't even ask how I was doing. One day I had enough of it. I shouted at him, if you loved Nancy so much, then why did you divorce her? His response broke my heart. He said, I didn't divorce her. She divorced me. James didn't even try to convince me that he loved me. I knew that day, James still loved Nancy. Nancy had left him for another man. That's when James and I had met. Now when Nancy was free again. So they wanted to get back. I left the home that day. I didn't want to come in between them. I never returned or talked again to James. I gave birth to my son 4 months later. He is 4 years old now. He goes to a good school. I am a single mother with a decent job. I know it would be better if my son had a dad. But it's better to not have a dad than having an unloving one.